Hola, mi gente, and welcome to Growing Up Spanglish. I'm your host, Rosalyn, but most of you know me as Roxy. We meet people whose migrant stories have led them to all corners of the U.S. So it's only right that I kick things off in the city that made me, the 305.
What's up, mi gente? Safe Static, aka Same Gang Safe, aka Hector La Wavy.
Wait, what do you consider yourself?
I'm just like a curator and one who has a lot of passion for the culture. You know what I mean? So like, am I DJ? Yes, I'm a DJ, but I do a lot of other things. So I don't like single myself out in one box and be like, oh, I'm this guy. No, like I just do what I love. You know, I rep that Puerto Rico, you know, that body shit. Here from Miami.
Are you born in Miami?
Yeah.
And raised here?
Yeah.
And what part of Puerto Rico?
Well, my family, I got family sprinkled around, you know. My grandfather was from Vega Baja, and my grandmother, Juncos, but I have like cousins Guaynabo, cousin Condado, cousins like, you know, around the island. And that's my heart, you know.
Question, because the show is called Growing Up Spanglish. What was your first language?
I mean, it was Spanglish, to be honest with you. It was Spanglish and it hasn't changed. Like, because like, we speak English, we speak Spanish, we speak both at the same time, and that's what it is, you know? So it wasn't like, oh, I only spoke Spanish or I only spoke English. It was just like, speak, you know, we throw in a Spanish word, throw in an English word, make it make sense.
What part of Miami did you grow up in?
I grew up a little bit everywhere, you know, because like as it got a little crazy down like in this area, my family kept moving north and north and north, and I ended up in Hollywood. But still repping like Wynwood, still repping like the OG shit, and I still got some fam there and the crews there. The OG side. I don't even like to say that anymore because it's like so watered down now. So like, you have to have been there and experienced it to understand what it is and what it was.
I think a lot of people don't really know necessarily like that Wynwood wasn't always what it is right now. And really was considered like a little Puerto Rico.
It was baby San Juan. So it had to be Puerto Rican if you were in the neighborhood, if you were chilling in the neighborhood, if you were hanging out, if you had some friends or family there, you know, it was strictly body.
You know, you have this amazing Fisher Price record player.
It's a little vintage rod from the 80s.
It's amazing. Which I think having a piece like this kind of is very unique. And I don't really think that anyone would just randomly have this unless they had a real passion for music.
Music is like, that's where everything like starts for me. Like the music. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm putting music. Before I go to bed, I'm like borderline playing some shit to just like wind me down and like, you know, like forget about the rest of the day and whatever happened that day. Just like, it's like La Cura, for real, it's the cure. No plug intended.
How did you get into it, or like what were the influences? What are your earliest memories? Okay.
100% my grandparents, the house parties, them playing music, playing guitar, my grandmother singing, and everybody that would come to the house party would play an instrument and turned into me playing instruments. And then from playing instruments, learning about a lot of the music at a young age and just like absorbing it all. And then ended up me DJing all the house parties.
How old were you when you DJed your first party?
No, I'm talking about like the viejo old school house parties, not like the kids party, like like the viejo shit. Maybe like early 20s, maybe like 1920s, early 20s, when I started like going serious with the records and like collecting them and like really understanding like what it is. Yeah, you could have a million records, but you don't understand like what it is and like what you're playing and like why are you picking these songs and what these songs mean to people.
And are you collecting vinyls at that time, or are you getting vinyls from your grandparents?
No. I'm like collecting.
Okay.
I'm collecting already. Yeah. I obtained a few from my grandfather. But at that time, that wasn't what was cool to me. Like, right? So that music, like the boleros, los trios, like all that, like that wasn't really so much my thing. But he had a couple of pieces in his collection that were like my thing. So like I obtained like those pieces from my early collection, and then later down the line, like now, is when I appreciated all the stuff that they were playing, and that was like meant like what it means to me, to him, you know? So it's like now I understand. It's like a full circle, you know what I mean? So
it
like
always is.
So now it's like going back to the early Puerto Rican sound. Not like the 70s or like the 80s or 90s, like the early stuff. So now I really appreciate like that.
Yeah. And once you start DJing, at what point do you decide like, oh, I'm like serious, like I could really like take this on the road?
Well, I got Spam from Spam All Stars invited me to play Hoy Como Ayer with him like on a Thursday night. This is like when the band was starting to get crazy popping. There was like a salsa, it was like a salsa night, but like the band plays like Latin funk. And they invited me, yo, you should come play in between the sets. They invited me that one time, and I played 10 years straight there. And it went like there, like crazy from there.
And this is
like 2002.
And
this is like, actually, I'm sorry. This is in 2000.
And you're in Little Havana, right?
That was in Little Havana, yeah. 2000, because I remember I wasn't even 21. And I was like in the club playing like these sets, and like for all these people, I'm like, yo, I'm not even 21. At that time, you know, I was like kind of crazy. Like, yo, I'm not even 21. I'm DJing the club, you know? So, yeah. And I never, 10 years straight, we did a run there.
Wow.
Funny enough, me and Spam are doing Monday night, like a little reunion thing at Gramps.
You're there 10 years, but obviously in between other things happen, other things pop up.
Like. So like playing with Spam All Stars, and in between their sets, I like developed my sound. Like, so like I was already playing salsa, and even prior to that, I was playing like b-boy jams, like all the funk shit, all the b-boy jams, all the rockin' like events. So I was like, I came in from like the b-boy era, the b-boy like hardcore, like real dusty b-boy, like digging for records, the rare funk grooves, the rare funk tracks, the breaks. So I came in like from the b-boy scene, mashed it up with like the salsa scene, and that's where my sound became like, that's where my like floral started, like just embrace, like going crazy, you know, like salsa, funk, b-boy, and that's when it just like boom, that's where it was born.
So you found your sound.
Yeah, I found my sound right there. Right up.
Do you dance?
1000%.
Oh, okay.
Big time.
Let me bring out the cardboard.
And that's also what makes like a lot of people don't know, but like that's what makes a good DJ. Like you understand what to play because you know what makes people dance. Like, you could be a good DJ, but you don't dance, but you don't really have that soul, that passion. Like, yo, they're gonna go crazy for this. Like, I know what it is because I have good taste and I have a good ear. So I know what makes me crazy. 9 out of 10 times makes like any dancer like go crazy. So that like helps my sound and helps me play and select records also.
What are the other opportunities that come about during that time period?
I mean, there was a lot, because like at that time, I was getting heard by a lot of people, so I ended up DJing like a lot of like Latin Grammy parties. I DJ'd the Heat Arena for like a few years straight. And everybody that came through like that Hoy Como Ayer era, like anybody, like Prince came through there. Like the artist known as Prince. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, so like so many artists and so many people and so many like influencers before was influencers, you know, like, so they were like, yo, we need him at this event. Yo, we need him there. Like, this guy's going crazy. He's killing it. In between, if I'm not playing during my set, like, we're dancing the whole band. Like, the band's playing, we're dancing like the whole band set. Rocking, side dancing, like, whatever. Like, it was like a night of, like, you're going to sweat everything out that night. And those nights were just legendary.
So from what conversations I've had with you, you got into designing these t-shirts. You've been with some of the legends of reggaeton. How did you segue into that?
It all starts with the music, because, like, collecting records for so many years and having all these records is like my personal inspiration. All these album covers, all the stories that are in the liner notes, all the gatefolds that open up, and you're like, it's just so inspirational to me, you know? So, like, the font work, mind you, I only collect records from the 60s and 70s, you know? So my inspiration was like from that time. And just being like amazed, like, man, this would be a fire shirt. Imagine this with that, and like these fonts, and like everything was just like super inspired for me to just put it on a shirt, you know, make some clothes out of it, do a design, do, like, you know, whatever I was thinking at the time. So I was just really doing, in the beginning, the shirts for like my crew or me when I'm playing out. Like, I want to rock some fly shit. I always was on some fly shit. So I want to rock something like, and I was always on some sneakers. So I'll be like, yo, I'm going to make something to go with this shit that's dropping. So I would just put my own little combis together, boom. And it got noticed real fast. Got noticed like real, like super fast. And the artists started seeing them, and I'd be around the right people, and I was like, yo, we need that. Yo, we need that. And then it was like, yo, you got to holler at him. Like, he's in Miami. Dago would come straight from Puerto Rico. Yo, we're landing in 2 hours. I need like a batch, you know? So I make Dago stuff, and just like a lot of artists, Yankee, Dago, Voltio. And those were even the biggest artists at that time. So from there, it just went like crazy, you know?
What's the biggest moment that your like shirts were in?
I mean, there's a lot of moments. I ain't gonna lie to you. The biggest, all right, so I don't like to judge my own stuff, and I don't even look at it like that. I do it, and it's old, and I'm on to the next, right? So, like, a lot of people say the biggest and like kind of the most legendary is when I did the 12 Discípulos at the Latin Grammys in 2005. So all 12 of them wore like a shirt that was they were representing like salseros, because the song was inspired from Fania All Stars, Quítate Tú. So they all had a shirt with like their inspo artists. Tego had Maelo, Vico C had Hector. So like they all had an artist that like was closest represented to them in Puerto Rico. So they called me up, boom, we need you to do the whole, you know, vibe for them. I did them, went to LA, we did it. Those Discípulos live, and that shit was pretty legendary.
That's amazing.
And that was 2005 for the record.
So that was like, is that your moment of holy shit, like I'm being recognized, or holy shit, this is really happening? Or was there another moment where you realized like
I don't think I ever saw it like that. You know what I mean? Because I was already like in the scene, doing my thing, like friends with a lot of artists. Like I was on tour with a couple artists too. So it was just like another thing to me, you know? Like all the artists are super humble. They're super loving, you know? They bring you in, and, you know, if they fuck with you, they fuck with you, you know? So it was like, it was good energy, and it was always about good energy, because if it wasn't, it wouldn't really go anywhere. So I don't know, like it was dope, you know, it was super dope. I actually went on stage with them like at the end of the show. Like that was pretty crazy. There's been blogs about that, like who's this guy? There's been like a lot of posts about it and whatnot. And yeah, so in case you don't know, that was me. La wavy.
So did this kind of like, was there a time period where this died down and now you have like a resurgence of your shirts again?
Well, I kind of got burnt out. You know what I mean? I did stuff so long, and I was like the early wave of like reggaeton getting coming mainstream. You know what I mean? Like when Gasolina dropped, when Tego dropped, when all these like artists from almost 20 years ago came out. That was like the first wave, right? So I was part of that first wave. Like if you look at most of those videos, I did most of those videos. All those clothes are pretty much mine. Even their merch, even not their merch, even like their promo stuff and a lot of that. But so I was involved with the early wave of it, the first wave, the first mainstream wave, because you know it dates back too. It's not like a new genre of music. And then and I kind of got burnt out with a lot of stuff. Even my records, like there was a point where I didn't even touch my records for like a little while, you know? But everything is like a 360. So with all this new energy coming back to the scene and all these new artists popping up and social media, and at that time there was no social media platforms too. It was like, oh, you gotta go call him, or you gotta pull up in Miami, or they might call you and be like, yo, we need you in Puerto Rico, come have a meeting or whatever, you know, or in New York. So it was like that. It was just like real word of mouth type shit, you know. So the new wave came, and I kind of got my energy back, you know. Like I fuck with it, and I love reggaeton, and I love all our music, like all across the board, like Latin music across the board. So it gave me like a little energy to be like, yo, I know what they need. I know what they need, you know, like, because I really make this for the people, you know what I mean? Like my early line was called mi gente, like my people. So it's for the people. So it was just like me, like, you know what? I know what I gotta do. I know what this wave is about to do, you know? So I just cooked it up, boom, chefed it up, and gave it to the people. Yeah. You know? And all I did is like revamp my old shit. So it was my old wave. Like it's my wave since back then. And now I'm just like, I'm not biting nobody's shit. I didn't ride nobody's coattail. I didn't really like, oh yo, I see what they're doing. I'm gonna take advantage of what they're doing. Like, nah, like it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna remix my old joint and put it back out to the streets. Yeah. That's what I did.
I just realized I've never seen, and maybe you've done this. I only see you doing the legends on these shirts. When will you consider a reggaeton artist legend enough to be on the shirts?
No, they're legends already, you know, but like I pay respect. Okay, so going back to like most of the shirts, right? Like I pay respect because, so say at that time, say there was a lot of guys were rocking like Tupac shirts, the old rap tee bootleg style, Biggie Small shirts, or like, you know, those artists, James Brown shirts, Bob Marley shirts. I love all their music, and I collect all of them. I have thousands of records, right? But I was like, damn, that's not like, I love it, but I want something like, where's our people shit? You feel me? Like I was like, wow, we don't have that. You know, so I'm like, I guess I gotta make this, you know, I guess I gotta do it.
Because it
didn't exist. So like, where's my favorite artist shirts? You know, there's no Hector Lavoe shirts. There's no Ismael Rivera shirts. There's none of these shirts that like I want to wear. So I wet it up. You know, I had to wet it up for the people.
Gotcha. But if somebody were like,
nah, I mean, I've done stuff like with artists, you know, for them. I've done stuff with Evie Queen. I've done stuff with Yankee. I've done stuff with a bunch of artists that they wanted like their stuff and their artwork on the shirt. I think that everybody does. They all deserve it. But like I said, like to me, it was like the RIP, you know, paying homage shirts. So like, I don't really even like to go there where it's like just taking advantage of like a popping artist. You know what I mean? Like these are like homenaje shirts, me giving flowers back. You know what I mean? To the artists that we love so much.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'm like a musician's. I'm like a DJ, a musician's DJ. Like so, like I have a good ear, and a lot of these artists, like they're on the wave that I'm on. You know what I mean? Like Bad Bunny just did a whole thing talking about that he was like how he came up with the song that he used Maelo sample, El Apagón, and he's like, man, I was sitting there in PR and I was listening to all these rare like Ismael Rivera songs. I do that every day, by the way. You know, like actually, this is one right here, right? And I understand like why they're like digging so deep into their archives of music because you could know Hector Lavoe 2 songs, Mi Gente, and whatever other song that's your favorite song, Aguanile, right? But the rabbit hole of like Hector's music, the rabbit hole of Maelo's music is so deep and it's so crazy. It just I'm like a crazy fiend for that. That's why I pick these artists and I just do it for the people. Yeah.
What did your grandparents think when they saw how deep in it you were?
They were pretty bugged out because like even the viejos sit there and watch like Telemundo Awards, Premio, whatever, and everything, and they know I know most of the artists. Or at that time when they would be like, I'd be like, oh, that's my shirt, like on the thing. I think they were like proud, but they weren't. I don't like boast about it or like brag about it or whatever. So I think they were cool with it, it's just another thing I do and I keep it moving,
Did they understand like this is a career?
I think so. They're old school, so it's a little different. Like, but of course they understood like, yo, like he's doing this, he's making money doing this, he's grinding every day. Like there's no stop, like once you're on that wave, you gotta keep, riding. So I just keep going with it,
Yeah. No, that I asked because I feel like we're part of that generation where our family doesn't understand that we can make our dreams a reality. Like we were just talking about this, that we have like access to things that really can make our dreams come true. So when they see you actually making money off of this, it's still a little bit hard for them to be like, oh, you're really, oh, okay, this is really.
And like, even like the older people, they're like, what do you do? Like, what do I tell them you do? Type shit, and it's like, oh, I do a lot of stuff, like I just do what feels right, you know what I mean? Like whatever I have passion for, whether it's the music, whether it's design, whether it's freelance, if it doesn't feel right, I don't do it. So as long as it feels right and it's something that I could relate to and put out dope content, whatever it is, or dope product, and I'm a rock with it.
If you could like share one memory of like your childhood that really helped you understand like your culture and what that means to you, share it with us.
Oh, okay. You just threw a curveball at me. Seeing my grandparents, okay, this isn't even so much my childhood. This is like throughout the years, and understanding like how music makes people feel, right? So my grandparents were both like in the hospital, both not doing well, and every day I would go and play music for my grandfather, right? Even both of them, but more so my grandfather because he was like the music head, old school. And I would go play his music for him. And even all the way up until like him on his deathbed, right, in the hospital, he's taught me music, like new stuff, right? It's the craziest thing, like a new artist. Like I'm like this is crazy, right? So like I understand why, like how music makes people feel by like really sitting there playing it for him and watching him turn into a different person when he's there with his music and enjoying it, and maybe he's living a living like thinking back in a different memory, a past memory that made him feel a certain way. and I realized like the music is la cura, and it's like the cure, and that's what I can say. Like that memory right there, and this, like I said, it's not a childhood memory. It's more of a recent memory, but that's gonna live with me forever.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things, like you said, it brought it full circle. They were the ones that introduced you to it. You kind of were just always like involved in it.
Absorbing it like subconsciously, you know, you're kids, you're a sponge. You just pick up stuff, you pick up words. I remember I used to say words to my friends that weren't Puerto Rican. Then I would say shit like Spanglish stuff, and they'd be like, yo, like, where does that come from? You know what I mean? Like, they didn't get it, you know? But it's just stuff that you pick up as a kid, and being there with your family and the old heads, and just living out those memories and those times and everything. But definitely La Cura, like music is La Cura for sure.
Yo soy boricua.